Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. It is the FHC Financial Literacy Webinar. Come on in. I see you coming on all in. We have 34 persons, 35 and counting. Wonderful, wonderful. Just giving a few more persons to come on in to join us for this awesome webinar that is planned for you and I this evening. We see more persons coming on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our financial literacy webinar session this evening. Awesome, awesome. Wonderful. So we want to officially welcome you to the FHC Financial Literacy Webinar this evening. Welcome to our executive team members. Welcome to our FHC team members and to you, our members and prospective members. All the persons joining us from, I know, across this nation of Jamaica and across the sea, USA, Canada, and the UK. We do see you coming on in and we know that you are there. So welcome, welcome. Our theme for today is flourishing finances, fact or fiction? What do you think about that? Flourishing finances, fact or fiction? I am Carleen Coley, Senior Marketing Officer at First Heritage Cooperative Credit Union, and I will be your moderator for this evening's session. Welcome, welcome, welcome. When we think about finances, what comes to mind? Saving, spending, budgeting, paying bills, and so much more. But we don't think about it as flourishing, do we? I don't. I'm not sure if you do. But we do have a prolific speaker this evening who will be debunking some of those financial perceptions and myths for us. Because we truly know that finances can be deemed as flourishing. It's just depending on how we see it. At this time, I'm going to invite Ms. Anya Ture, Marketing and Member Experience Officer, to start this evening off with prayer. Ms. Anya Ture, welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Coley, and good afternoon to all our members and prospects. We're happy to have you with us this afternoon. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, seeking your guidance and wisdom as we gather for this webinar on flourishing finances. We ask for your blessing on each participant and our guest speaker tonight. We ask that you grant us the clarity and understanding to manage our finances wisely. And may the knowledge shared here today empower us to achieve financial stability and prosperity. Lord, we pray that you bless our efforts to serve our community through FHC Credit Union, and let our actions reflect your love and generosity. We ask for your presence among us, guiding our discussions and decisions. In your holy name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mr. Edwards, for that wonderful prayer. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Just before we get into things this evening, there are some housekeeping matters that we would love for you to know as we go through the session. Please ensure that your mics are muted at all times. If you would like to ask a question or state a concern, please use the raise hand icon where you may find it at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And you may also use a chat to write or ask or state your concern as well. So guess what? I know our speaker is an interactive person, and so she's gonna want to use up the chat and all of that. So don't be afraid to use it up, okay? Awesome. So before we go into the speaker this evening, we would love to know, when you saw the theme, flourishing finances, what came to mind? Did you really stop and think about it? Did it make you smile? Did it make you shake your head? What did it do? We would love to hear from 3 persons on our platform tonight. So use the raise icon, raise your hand, and let us hear from you. What were your thoughts on this evening's topic? Don't raise all at once now. Any thoughts out there? There we go, Kay Brown. Let us hear from Kay Brown and what he or she has to say. Go ahead, Kay Brown.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, so when I saw this, the topic flourishing, growth came to mind, being successful came to mind as well. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And that's Kay Brown's response. Is there any other persons who would love to share what their thoughts was on this topic? Someone is in the chat? A lot of money. We do see another raise hand. Miss Denise Dawson Daly. Make her welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
For me,
evening.
the topic means financial freedom.
Financial freedom. Awesome. See some good nuggets coming through. Any other person out there who would love to share what came to mind?
I see Shavina in the chat, Miss Coley. She says, making your money work for you.
Awesome. Making your money work for you. When we do, Adrian. Why did you take down your hand, Adrian? Come on, I want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. Anyone else before we introduce our speaker for this evening? All right, awesome, awesome. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I see potential in growth, and stability. That's just my take.
Your take on it. Awesome, awesome. Just like Kay Brown, growth. That is it. So you see, flourishing finances, fact or fiction. We do have some good thoughts around here. So I'm amongst millionaires. Is that so? I'm amongst millionaires. Awesome, awesome. But today's speaker will be telling us more about flourishing finances. April is usually the month of financial literacy. However, we at FAC Credit Union, it's May, yes, and you may be saying, but it's May, why keeping it now? We at FAC Credit Union wanted to be the last voice you hear about finances. And so that's why we're having it now, so that we will be the recall for your financial journey. Tanya D. Powell is an international speaker, multi-number-1 best-selling author, and a certified leader and results coach. She empowers individuals to transform their leadership skills to create success in their personal and professional lives. Tanya has spent over 2 decades in multi-billion-dollar companies in the financial industry, serving in leadership positions. She is also an international award-winning team engagement coach and was recently appointed Global Master Coach and a Vice President Caribbean Operations of the Napoleon Hill Institute, the fastest growing personal development company in the world. I should see all the claps going up. Despite a global pandemic and cancer diagnosis in 2020, Tanya has emerged as a cancer thriver and has founded the iShift Institute for Transformation. She has been featured speaker on international stages with speakers such as Les Brown and Dr. Cheryl Wood. Given a new outlook on life, Tanya believes that one should seek to thrive even through adversities by focusing on breakthroughs and not the breakdown. Her simple message is to live a life of purpose and freedom now rather than later. She is known as the people's coach, and she believes that it is in change that you rather discover your purpose. I love this part of the profile that says, focusing on breakthroughs and not breakdowns. Ladies and gentlemen, may we welcome none other than Miss Tanya Powell to speak to us today on flourishing finances, fact or fiction. Over to you, Miss Powell.
Thank you so much, Carlene. I see Tracy saying she really wants to listen in, but she's having some bad connection. We got you, Tracy. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. Now, give me a thumbs up or drop a Y in the chat if you're seeing me clearly, if you're hearing me clearly. Adrian, you're quick on the draw, my friend. Thank you, Michael. So awesome, awesome. I'm going to be honoring your time. As I said to Carlene today, man, there's just so much that we could get into with this topic. And I love what our brave souls said. Kay Brown said when she thought about the topic, it was about growth and success. And Denise said financial freedom. And Shavina said making your money work for you. I love that. And Chris said, it's about stability and potential growth. And I love all of that. And I think, today we're going to talk about whether the optimism that we see, that we hear, or, are we even hearing that, if it's grounded in reality or is it a mirage? Because, and you don't have to put your hands up, but if you're brave and you want to, and you say, you know what, let me just throw caution to the wind anyway, it doesn't matter. If you've been working for a lot of years, holy for years, and you still don't feel like you reach that financial freedom that Denise spoke about, give me a thumbs up or something. Because I'm gonna shift this. Let me just shift my view here so I can see everyone. Shavina said, listen, even though I said what I said, I feel like I have to be working too hard for my money and it doesn't seem like it's enough, right? So we're going to talk about today, is it grounded in reality or is it a mirage? Is it there for me? But more importantly, we're going to talk about some steps to ensure your own finances are flourishing. It's about making informed decisions. It's about embracing personal responsibility. And my big thing is about shifting to a wealth mindset. Sometimes we think that achieving financial success, you see some persons and it seems so easy and it seems like it's a straightforward path. And, some of the people tell you, just do this, especially in social media now. If you're looking around, oh, I can tell you in 10 minutes how to get to a 7-figure business, but the reality is that there are nuances. And once we can learn to navigate the nuances and understand what's there, then we can say, it's going to be a reality for me. So we're going to look a little bit at some of the myths around it, because sometimes it's those beliefs and myths that we have that prevent us from actually seeing this reality of our finances, flourishing. So here's the thing about today's presentation. It's not going to be numbers driven. It's not going to be data driven. We're going to talk about what are some simple steps that we can take. In fact, they're going to be so simple that some of you are going to say, this doesn't even make sense, right? But hang with me till the very end. Don't drop off the call, even if it sound woo-woo, if it sound like it up in the air, don't drop off the call, because here's what I'll ask you to ask yourself. Why did I join this webinar in the first place? Am I prepared to do something a little different? I've been working hard, I've been pushing hard, and sometimes it seems like the harder I push, the harder I work, is the more elusive this flourishing finances are. Now, some of us may be comfortable, and that's fine. Well, if that's fine. But some of us also know that there is just so much more for me to accomplish. And if that's you, drop a Y in the chat or give me a thumbs up so that I know that I'm speaking to the people who want to be in the room. There is more. And by the way, if me saying there is more for you and you feel like your heart kind of crunch a little bit, you want to take a note of that. Is that a money belief that is stopping you from being blocked, right? So I'm going to put up a Ty, I see you. Yes, thank you. And Denise and Carly. Oh, that's Carlene. I'm going to share my screen briefly. Again, just give me a thumbs up when you're seeing it. All right. So this is what we're going to be talking about. Now, I know that you heard Carlene introduced me. Thank you again so much, Carlene. But what is it that makes me even remotely qualified, apart from the fact that I'm going to be talking woo, what is it that makes me remotely qualified to even be having this conversation with you? Now, I have spent over 20 years in the financial industry, from wealth management, banking, investments. I've spent most of that time in leadership positions, in senior leadership position. I have, built teams, done strategic planning, coaching, sales and service management, and all of those I have brought forward into what I now do. I'm a certified financial planner. So I know even though Carlene went through what I'm doing now, this is the kind of background and expertise that I also bring to the conversation, right? So this is me. And of course, as you heard, I'm also a certified leadership coach with the John Maxwell team. So that's me and John there some time ago. So when we talk about flourishing finances, is this you? Fact? Yes, it's working. Or are you wondering, is this fiction? And I want you to take, a little bit of note of this picture behind the guy who is wondering, is this fiction? What is all this? Does it work for me? Because we're going to come back to this. So I want to start by painting just a little bit of picture about our economic backdrop, what I call the circumstances, because the circumstances will always be there. If we go back, if you think back to the picture I just asked you to take a look at, those were, in fact, you know what, let me go back to it. These lines that I know they're not clear, these are tracking various markets, whether it be the stock market or the bond market or the CD market or the oil market, from 1960 all the way to present, right? And what you will see here is that markets fluctuate, markets go up, markets come down, markets go up, markets come down. Nothing ever changes over the long term. Depending on what you're investing in, you can see that growth. But I share that to say, at the end of the day, the circumstances are the circumstances. The governments are going to be there. The governments are going to do what governments do. The markets are going to do what the markets do, right? So how do we safeguard our finances? How do we get them flourishing in spite of the circumstances, in spite of the challenges? I saw someone put in the chat that I know that one of the things I need to start doing, is start marketing my business. How do we go about doing that? So we talk about our economy. And especially if you're business people, and I've done business coaching, I've coached, a number of companies across different industries and different sectors, you know, we have some leaders who it's all about what's happening, the government policies, or whether it be inflation or high energy prices or the stock market downturns. You know, those are the conversations we're hearing today, inflation. And, you know, somebody drop in the chat and tell me, what's your understanding of inflation? And while you do that, you know, I want us to think about how are we seeing the economy now? Because how we see things determine the kind of actions that we take. So right now, we are seeing high inflation, we're seeing high energy prices, for some of us, stock market downturns, which impact our portfolios. And on the other hand, we are also hearing, but there is improved economic activity, there are higher levels of employment, depending on where you go, who you're speaking to. These will resonate and these will be fact, right? We're seeing growth in some sectors like the hospitality industry. So what does this mean for you? You know, the pundits are saying there's going to be there's a positive outlook for 2024. And so for a lot of us, it becomes, okay, that's great, but it's not translating down to me. How do I capitalize on that? The other thing we have to think about is generally things in the business world, it's just changing rapidly. Technology is changing. We see the advent of artificial intelligence, AI, that's just changing how we do things. And so one of the first things I want us to start thinking through is, as businesses change, as the landscapes change, as the economic data change on us, how do I need to change? And especially if I've been passive and just waiting, what kind of steps do I then need to take? So the question, and I hope you have a notebook or some paper, the question I want you to ask yourself is, how is this positive outlook even translating for me? Do I even believe that that positive outlook is fact? Or boy, you know, politicians and and whatnot's just telling me something to tell me something, right? So we're gonna talk about, in spite of it all, for us to create flourishing finances, for it to become reality for us, we got to create our own economy. And I'm going to walk you through these steps. I told you it's not going to be 1 + 1 and invest in this. I'm going to show you at the end how you can now match what we're going to talk about with real assets and real actions. But these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that we're going to walk through. So let me stop sharing. If at any time you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I know that my team is waiting to grab them so that we can have a good discussion. So the first thing I want us to talk about, and we got from, you know, a few of you, what your thoughts were as you saw the topic. But I love to also always talk about definitions. And so what does the term flourishing mean? And so the definition I found is, flourishing means to develop rapidly and successfully. Somebody said success, I think it was K. Brown. It's about thriving. It's about to grow luxuriously. I think Christopher said potential growth. And fact means a thing that can be proved, the truth about events as opposed to an interpretation. And here, the fact that you're looking at is going to be manifested in your actual reality. Can I dare say in your bank account, in your credit union account, right? What is that fact that you have there? And fiction is something that is invented or untrue. It's a mystery. It's of the imagination. Right. And I have so many stories about anybody ever, and this is all for fun. So you can feel free to give me the thumbs up or the yes in the chat. You ever lie in your bed at night and just see yourself vacationing in some of the most exotic places? I mean, it's not quite reality yet, but hey, it feels so real to you, and you know that that's where you want to go, right? So that's what we're gonna talk about. But the second question I want you to ask yourself is, in this environment, as I look at both sides of the coin, whether it's high inflation, whether it's high energy prices, or whether it's about growth that we expect, can I have flourishing finances? Because here's the thing. If you do look around, there is so much evidence that it's there. In fact, and I told you I'll get a little woo-woo, we live in an abundant universe. When you look around, so then we have to ask the question, what needs to shift for me to be a part of that? So I want you to take some notes so that at the end, you can take some inspired action, because as I said, what I'm going to share is simple, but it's not easy. Let me say that again. It's simple, but it's not easy, because easy demands discipline. We're going to talk about that. Easy demands faith. Easy demands action, right? So every time I say that, I remember once I was, with my personal trainer. I was at the gym, and he says, all right, Tanya, we really need to strengthen your upper body. Now here, and if any of you relate to this, if you go to the gym and you know that push-ups are not the easiest thing unless you really have upper body strength. When he said to me, every evening, I want you to go home and I want you to do 1 push-up before bed. How many? 1 push-up. No. If you know anything about push-up, you know that it does not get any easier than your trainer telling you to go do 1 push-up, right? But here's the thing, simple. 1 push-up. Every night I'd go home and I'd jump into bed, and then I'd remember that he said 1 push-up, and I'd look and I said, well, I'm not getting back out of bed to do any push-up. So what was the simplest act became so hard because there was no discipline behind it. There was no consistency behind it. So 30 days later, I was just as weak in my upper body as I was at the beginning, when all he asked me to do was 1 push-up. So I share that to say, what I'm going to share is so simple that you may think that it's not going to shift anything. But I promise you, take some notes, latch on to some things, and things will change. All right, so let's talk about creating your own economy. As I said, there's evidence around us. Give me a hands up, raise hands, something. If you look around and you do see what you believe to be flourishing finances, you do see people having growth. You do see people having success. In fact, give me a hands up if you have had some success, because this is also why you're here. So we know that it's there. It can happen for me. So the impact of inflation. It's almost like, I think it was Shavina who raised her hand when I said, you feel like you're just working, and it just not moving. So I remember when I just bought my car, right? First car I bought, it was a Toyota Marino. Most of you probably wouldn't even know it. Like a little sports car, right? And it was red. I think my friend Shelly is here, so she may remember it. I don't know. And, this was way back when, and I'm going to the gas station, and I'd have the windows down and I'd have my shades on, and I'd drive up like this, and I'd just say, fill it up, Let me tell you, no. And if y'all see me on the road, just pretend you don't know me, right? No, I'm going to the gas station, my windows are up, and I crack the window and I may whisper, $5,000, please. And I'm watching the pump, right? Inflation. Sometimes we're earning more, but what is it costing? So I know everybody eat. Most of us in here probably go to the supermarket. Have you ever stopped to look at what I spent last month? In fact, when you come out of this, I want you to run an experiment. When you go to supermarket this month end, because everybody get paid this month end is month end, right? Although some of us probably finish it already. I want you to buy some goods. And next month end, I want you to buy the same things and just compare. Just compare. I remember the first time it came to my attention was I went to buy some chicken, the whole chicken. And I'm like, why is this chicken no, so this must be wrong because I bought one last month and it was nothing close to that. So what's going on here? Fact or fiction? Are we flourishing? It's almost like every time, even if I get raise a pay, I still don't have extra. This is where it's going. So are you willing? Yeah, Rochelle, is it Rochelle? Says Radcliffe, I keep my receipts and it's depressing. All right, we're gonna shift that because we don't want you depressed, right? So the question now is, what if in spite of everything around you, whether it's the supermarket, whether it's the gas station, you could create your own economy? So here's what I want you to write down. Are you willing to look at things differently? Are you willing to adapt? See, there is more change happening in the world now. And here's what we know. Change makes us uncomfortable. I was in a session with my coach this morning. Yes, coaches need coaches. And my coach said, the only person who likes to change is a wet baby. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, change is happening. Are we willing to change? Or as, you know, Miss Radcliffe just said, it's so depressing that I'm stuck. I don't even know where to go. Are you willing to go out of your comfort zone? And it doesn't mean that you're going to take a 180 degree. 180 degree means you're going in the opposite direction. It certainly doesn't mean you're going to do a 360 because it means you're still going in the same direction. But maybe it's just a 5-degree shift to get us somewhere, to get us out of our comfort zone, to do something different. So I'm going to take you through a couple of steps, right? It's for contemplation. And I want you to drop in the chat any questions, anything that you have so we can answer, because Albert Einstein says you can't solve a problem with the same thought pattern that created it. We have to try something different, right? We're going to shift our thinking so we can apply to different ideas so we can take some action. So step number one. Well, before I get into step number one, here's a quote from one of my favorite books that I'm going to talk about, and you can see it on my bookshelf behind me, Think and Grow Rich, which was written by Napoleon Hill. In fact, before I even start, I want to tell you a little story. Can't believe I'm about to tell you this. So you would have heard in my bio that I am a master coach. I'm a coach with the Napoleon Hill Institute. The Napoleon Hill Institute is a personal development and growth company. Now, if you've never heard of Napoleon Hill, this is a different copy, but I have many copies, wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. And this book has been responsible for making more millionaires in the world than any other book or any other resource, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I end up in this room, Napoleon Hill Institute. And one day they're showing a video of Napoleon Hill speaking. And he was speaking about just all the countries where the books were flying off the shelf, the USA, Australia, the UK, in Europe. And I'm sitting there and I got so emotional and I'm thinking, I'm not hearing the names of any country being called with people that look like me. You understand what I mean? You understand what I'm talking about? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right. It's the United States, it's the UK, it's Europe, it's Australia. And, you know, he's talking about how many millionaires are being made. And I'm thinking, I'm listening. So I got so emotional on the call that even though there were 80 odd persons on the call, and I'm new, so you know, I wasn't even making myself seen or heard or anything. I'm checking this thing out. That the CEO of the company brought me up on the Zoom room just like this, and you know, she said, Tanya, why are you so emotional? And I said, oh, nothing. And she said, no, why are you so emotional? And believe you me, people, I'm looking in this room of 80 odd people, right? And I'm seeing people who like 95% of the people or 99% of the people don't look like me. I know what I mean, right? And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to say this without creating any waves? And I guess she saw it and she said, Tanya, say it. And I said, in nowhere in this conversation that Napoleon Hill is talking about where millionaires are being made is any predominantly Black country being called. And that's heartbreaking for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I started bawling. And she looked at me and she said, did you stop to consider that you are now chosen to bring this material to the Caribbean? So I throw that in there because this is the basis of where I am now, right? And so from his book, he says, success requires no explanations. Failure permits no alibis. We don't need to explain our success, right? We just need to go after it. So step one, I'm watching the time. Don't want Carlene come kick me out of here. We got to make a decision. In the book, Napoleon Hill says, the first step to changing your results in any area of your life, whether it be financial, relationship, whatever it is, we're talking money today, is about making a decision. Every financial journey, no matter where you're at, whether you just started, whether you're in the middle, whether you feel comfortable, but you know that there can be more, it's gonna start with a decision. So what does the decision needs to look like? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? We have to get clear on that. Because you see, some of us are just running around. We get the paycheck or we get some money and we scramble around and try to stretch it to do in the short term instead of having a vision. What do you truly want to achieve where your finances are concerned? I was sharing today with a beautiful, amazing young lady. And she called me and she said, boy, she had a decision to make. And it was about becoming an entrepreneur versus the 9-to-5. And the fear, as so many persons have, is about leaving the comfort and the reliability of a steady paycheck, of a pension. And I said to her, here's one of the things that even through my cancer journey in 2020, one of the things that I've come to realize is when you make a decision, you would be and you stand in it in truth and in faith, and you know that it is of the heart, you'd be surprised at how resources find their way to you. So here's another reason. Let me just throw this in. So we can set financial goals and then things will happen out of the blue. Yeah. So in 2020, you know, when I got my diagnosis, and I know I jumped straight to that, you know, my oncologist looked at me and he said, you do have, you know, a strain that is aggressive, but here is the good news. So I'm like, yes, let's go. Says we have 2 drugs, 2. Drop in the chat, how many? 2. That can, you know, give you the best outcome possible. So I said, yeah, let's go. He said, the first one is called, Kenisha, the first one is called Herceptin, and it's $5 million. I said, okay. So now suddenly the let's go came down to, let's go. You know, it was 300 and something, and I have the numbers somewhere per dose, and I needed 12 doses, Herceptin. Now, here is the thing. There are a lot of ladies on this call. The strain of breast cancer, so it was breast cancer that I have, is predominant in Black women, i.e. predominant in Jamaica. So that's one drug. We're not talking about the regular chemotherapy drugs. We're not talking about MRIs and whatnots. That's one drug. So I slowly said, okay, let's go. Because I'm thinking life. I've made a decision. I'm going to live life. So let's go. That's all my savings. That's what I'm thinking, right? And then he says, the second drug that works in tandem with this is called Perjeta. Now, I know there's a maths brain in here, probably Christopher or Adrian. And he says, Perjeta is $535,000 per dose. And I needed 18 doses. Somebody calculate that while I move on. So even as we are thinking about making that big financial goal, there are things in life that happen, that pop up, that if our finances are not flourishing, we're in trouble. No. If you calculated, you probably got roughly what, $20 million for 2 drugs? Under no way, shape, or form did I have $20 million sitting in my account to do that. But here's what happened. When I said, I don't care, it's going to come. We got to find this because I'm defending life. I'm thinking about vision, my future, my breakthrough. I'm not sitting here and hoping things happen. I am here today. So step one, we got to know where we want to go with our finances. It's not okay to just pay the bills. So here are the action steps now. How do you know what's the first thing you need to do? You got to do an assessment of where you are. Listen, I'm going to tell you from now, the first time I did that, sat down, I look at all my assets, I look at all my liabilities. I cried for a week straight. But we know the old adage, if you don't know where you're going, any road can take you there, right? So, Shavina, you got to get clear on what is it I want, where am I, and then what do I need to do in the process. I couldn't believe it when I did mine, right? So we got to start organizing. If you don't have a clear goal, we're going to end up surviving, not thriving, not flourishing. You notice when Caroline read my bio, she said, I call myself a cancer thriver. I never did call myself a survivor. Why? Because I knew I had to keep going. I had to find a way to keep thriving. So what's the action I need you to take? You got to commit to up-leveling your finances. So the financial tools, it's all about getting discipline. We're going to talk about just some key, simple actions for us to take, right? And when I talk about discipline, for me, discipline means self-love. It's about giving yourself a command and being able to follow it. Not like back in the old days when I was to do one push-up and I couldn't even do that, right? And we got to start now, no matter where you are, because we know it. One cocoa, full basket. We got to pay ourselves first. We work hard, but we line up and we pay the light and the digital. And I'm not saying don't pay your bills because I don't want you in the dark. But what about us, right? So the first thing is we got to assess where we are, where we want to go. Under that first step in the decision, we got to start creating that budget. And I know for some of us, budget sounds restrictive, budget sound hard, right? I personally don't really like it, but to begin a journey, we have to do that. What's coming in, what's going out, what's left. Want to create that emergency fund. As I said, a diagnosis. I remember when I went when I went to do the first mammogram, you know, and I went to the place and we did the mammogram, and the doctor said to me, well, so this was in September. She says, well, we may have space for you to do a biopsy in October. I said, October? I am supposed to sit around and wait. And then she said, I may have some space today. It was a Sunday, but only if you have $150,000 on this pot. Bloop, emergency fund, right? So that's step one, make a decision. What do you want it to look like? Step two, who or what is in your environment? We want to be around like-minded people, right? Not persons who, we want to surround ourselves with the positive influences. And when I say surround ourselves, it may be, it's our peers, it may be mentors, it may be you know, just persons who you're following. We want to make sure that our social media, because I know everybody is on social media, everybody is following. Who are you following? What are you learning? What are you picking up, right? You have to advocate for your continuous financial literacy, which is what you're doing because you're here. You want to be around professionals like the First Heritage Credit Union team, the FHCIL investments team. I know, I believe I saw a couple of them on the call here. These are the persons who will help you to create step one, the budgeting, looking at the finances, right? Because coming out of step one, you want to work with the credit union team to develop smart habits, consistent habits, the regular savings, the adding consistently to your deposits, the accessing of good loans. Listen, wealthy people use other people's money, but you have to be responsible. Again, back in the day, when I started working at the bank, it was at NCB in Mandeville, and we had this thing agency at the shopping center, and I was in charge of it. And across the road was KFC. Have my first credit card, right? So I go over to KFC one day and, you know, to buy chicken, right? Meal deal. And the card declined. And I'm like, you're buying 2-piece chicken and your card declined. That's some serious trouble you're in. So I go back over to the branch, you know, and I call the credit card company and I said, and he said, yeah, your card declined. And I, you know, I'm like, oh my God, I must have lost my card. And the guy was like, you must have lost it in KFC. You know, so not that kind of use, but how can we use, right, our loans, our credit cards, to be responsible and drive forward? So the other step, and I want Carleen, if the team could just play a video, because we're going to step 3, because I'm watching the time. We want to shift to a wealth mindset. And a wealth mindset involves seeing opportunities for growth and believing in your ability to create wealth. Believing in your ability to create wealth. So Carleen, if the team could just show that video, but I want you to watch this video.
Coming up.
You see, the average Black family passes on, listen to this, $0 to the next generation. Yep, I said 0. That means when somebody dies, the family gets nothing. No wonder we cry so much at funerals. We're grieving twice, grieving over losing a loved one and grieving that they didn't leave us anything. You see, other ethnic groups leave wills, but we leave bills. Well, what does Proverbs 13:22 say? A good person leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That means our money should impact at least 3 generations. It should impact ours, our children's, and our grandchildren's. So we have to start building generational wealth.
So I want you to put in the chat what you thought about that. Because I know we also have some beliefs that, you know, we should spend it as soon as we get it. But Shell says, amen. It's about moving away from shifting that wealth mindset. Is about moving away from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance. It's about being proactive. Some of us are sitting, right, and just waiting on things to happen, like we're waiting on manna to fall from the heavens, but we have to be proactive, and we have to be resilient in the face of setbacks, and we have to focus on our long-term goals, right? So here's the question I want you to be asking yourself. What resources are you tuning into? By the way, that little video snippet came from TikTok. Now, if you're watching, those kind of things on TikTok, then yeah. But if it's all the other things, well, I want you to think about that. Who are your mentors? What books are you reading? As I tell you, this book has created more millionaires in the world, but how many of us have it on our bookshelf or on our desk reading? What are you feeding your mind? See, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorant. Adrian says, Robert Kiyosaki, yes. Cash flow. So we got to shift from the short game, which is surviving, paying bills. I remember one day, as my mentor would say, one day I said, I was really thinking about, I really want to have a nice vacation. I want to go somewhere I've never gone. I want to go to somewhere like Hawaii or, something like that. You see these things on TV and whatnot. And, I asked my bank account, may I go on this vacation? And of course, my bank account said, no, you may not. So we want to shift from the short game, the surviving, the barely living, the eking out, the oh my God, the scratching around. Because a lot of us in here, and this is not about religion or so, but a lot of us in here also believe that we're fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And God is abundance. So why shouldn't I be abundant, right? We have to shift to the long game, the legacy, the future, generational wealth. The other day I saw someone wrote on one of the social media to say, boy, if you're 30 something and you're still, and your parents still giving you money, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I wanted to say, boy, I'm 52 years old and my mom's still giving me money. And I say, thank you, because she enjoys passing down, right? It's not about the get rich quick schemes. And so, step two, when we want to talk about the savings and getting into the habit and your deposits, I said, talk to your credit union people. Shift into the wealth mindset, the investing, the understanding the stock markets, the bond markets, the FX markets. I want you to connect with the FHCIL investment advisors that will help you to develop an investing mindset, understanding the calculated risks that go into wealth building. So it's not just about making money. We want to make money. We want to grow wealth, right? And then the fourth step, as we wrap up, we got to remove the excuses. I told you I come into you simple today. We got to remove the excuses. We always have the good intentions. You know what? The next time I get a raise of pay, I am going to take it and I'm going to save it. Or I'm going to up my pension to the maximum that I can contribute. And we have all the good intentions, and then the excuses come. So we have to ask ourselves, what do we truly, truly desire? And do we believe that we can have it? The conversation I had with a beautiful young lady today, when she was calculating, if I walk away from this 9 to 5, I'm leaving X on the table. And I said to her, you can make that X in 3 months. Easy peasy, right? So what are some of the myths? So here's your home fund. Yes, I'm giving you home fund. Because there's something that's stopping us from flourishing finances. And some of it is, what are some of the myths and beliefs that hold us back from the abundance that we desire? In fact, I want you to start blowing up the chat right in there. So some of us really believe that money is the root of all evil. Whether it's so it go or is not so it go, right? What are some of the beliefs and the myths that holding us back? We say, boy, them have money, them filthy rich. And I say, why would you describe rich as filthy? Money is not gonna want to come to you if you think it's dirty. But these are some of the unconscious beliefs and sayings that we have that helping to block us and we don't even realize. Boy, it's easier for, a rich man to, a camel to go through the eye of a needle or something, than a rich man to enter heaven. Myth, rich people are evil. Yes. Rich people are this and that. Money is gonna change me. Everybody, what are some of those myths and beliefs that are holding you back? Boy, if I get rich, people going to think that I'm not a good person anymore. If you get rich, you'll be targeted for crime. A lot of us, we're seeing what's happening with our young people, what's going on with them. If we don't get rich, we can't help them. We can't go into the schools. We can't have programs. Like I said, yes, Adrian, how we're taught to think. And this is why I got so upset in that day and was bawling down the place. Why my people don't know this stuff? And I haven't even touched it. Budgeting is restrictive. Debt is always bad. Investing is only for the rich. I'm too old. I don't know enough. What are some of those myths that's stopping you from really taking that next step? And then step number 5 is we got to conquer the different areas in our life. We got to look at creating clarity and removing chaos. Money is not going to come where chaos reigns. Do you want to go anywhere where chaos is? Your spiritual life, can I just say, need to sort out. And on one hand, we can't just say, well, God is going to provide. Yes, he is. Yes, he absolutely will. But you got to take action. Faith without action. What is it? Faith without works is dead, right? Our relationships. Look at the relationships that you have in your life. How we do anything is how we do everything. Consider that money is like a child. So imagine if all your relationship with your husband or your wife or your family is just chaotic and always quarreling, then why is it gonna come? I know it sounds woo-woo and silly, but think about it. And you're physical. You can't go out and make money if you're not healthy. What is it that we say? Our wealth, our health is our wealth, right? So those are the 5 steps I just wanted to throw out, but here's a bonus step. And I think Christopher I don't know if he's still on, was probably heading here. Understand what's in the market now. So a lot of us are here, whether you're business owners or you work for a 9-to-5, but you have skills, you have experiences. There's so many problems in this world. What's a problem that you can solve? Because on one hand, we're controlling the expenses, we're going to make our budget, we want to look at our cash flow as in step 1. But on the other hand too, and this is the one I personally like because I really don't think there's anything else to cut back on. So I like the idea of growing my income. What are you good at? What is there in the market? Even if you think everybody else is doing it, how can you package that, right? This is what I work with my clients with. Okay, let's look at what your experience is, your expertise, and how do we package that so that you can put that out there and sell it. You can serve people, and people in turn will give you money, right? So I'm watching the clock, staying on target. Let's wrap up. Let's quickly recap and then open up for comments and Q&A. Step 1, we got to make a decision. And the first decision is, do I even want flourishing finances? And if you say no, then maybe we need to jump now and look, why do I believe that? What's holding me back? That's a big part of my coaching, understanding what's in the subconscious that holds people back, right? We got to make the decision to take control of your finances. Not like me when you look in the bank account and you say, money may I, and your bank account say, no, no, you may not. We deserve to live a life that we enjoy, right? Step 2, assess your environment. And sometimes it's family, and you got to love them, bless them, and leave them, right? Sometimes it's family. How many of you lend family money and you never get it back? No, I'm not saying you must help out your family, people. I'm just saying who is in your environment. And sometimes when you share some dreams and you tell people that, as Carleen was saying, am I amongst millionaires in here? And you tell people, I'm going to be a millionaire. And people start to beat you down. What do you mean you're just going to be billionaire? Well, that's not for you. You're from the country or whatever it is. But you're talk about. When I say, you know what, by 2025, I'm the dream killers, Adrian, yes. Just like when you go to get your glasses, the prescription is for you, not for anybody else. You don't need to tell everybody your business. You have to know, get selective. So if you need to love some of them, bless them and leave them, hug them up tight, go. If you're in the environment where the conversation is not moving you forward, the conversation is not going to be, you know what? I'm going to contact Tanya because I need to know more about Think and Grow Rich. But it's about gossip, then you need to remove yourself. And then third, you got to create that clear, compelling financial goal. This is so timely. We have 6 months to 2024, to end 2024. What's that goal? My friend I was talking to today, I'm going to call her up and I'm going to say, all right, let's set that goal. Because if you don't know where you're going, it's like, it's like you're just throwing money and hope things will set. We're going to set that goal. Then we're going to set out action items, right? And then fourth and final, listen, you got to book your call with the experts. You got to book your call with your credit union rep. You got to book your call with your investment advisor here so that they can help you to start taking the first step, right? And I'm going to leave you with this quote from Peter Drucker, who says, the best way to create the future is for you to create it, right? I feel like I got that wrong, but I know, I know you get the message. We get to create, right? So simple steps. If you don't put them into action, if you don't get disciplined about certain things, because I don't believe I would have told you anything you don't know. However, here we are, and there are gaps. So what does that mean? Where are my gaps? What do I need to do? Because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, there are more millionaires being made today because of technology than any other time. And I'm going to say, it's not that them brighter than you, but what are we doing? So I thank you. Let's work together to ensure that your finances are flourishing and that they become fat. All right, Carleen, don't know if there are any questions that you want to take.
Wow. Is there any question for Miss Tanya today, this evening? I'm just blown away, Tanya. Awesome presentation. Thank you so much. Awesome presentation. Question and answer. It's question and answers time. Is there any question in the chat coming through? Oh, Adrian has a question. Go ahead, Adrian, when you are given the permission.
This question is for Tanya. Tanya, what made you decide that you wanted to take this journey on and as to go as far as to the Napoleon Hill Institute? I mean, that's tremendous.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful. Yes, Abigail, I saw that. Yes. Let's get going on that. Throughout my journey in the financial industry in corporate, it has always been about empowering people. I didn't know the word coaching at the beginning, but it was about leaning into people. And I see some names on here that might refute that, Adrian. So I'm being cautious. Those were my young days. But I tell you what happened. I got burnt out. I honestly got burnt out. And then in 2019, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and I became her caregiver. In 2020, I was diagnosed with cancer. And as I reflected on where I was and how stressed and burnt out I was, I decided that it was time for me to live my purpose. And I genuinely felt everything in my being. The first time I saw Les Brown live at the National Arena in 1990, I think I'll tell you my age already, so I can't just say it. In 1991, everything in me knew that this is what I was supposed to do. And so step one that I shared, I decided, Adrian, that this is what I want to do. This is my calling. This is my purpose, and I'm going to step into it. I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't know how it would pan out. But a couple of years later, this is where I am. So it was a combination of just being at that stage of life, and I'm grateful for everything the industry gave me. So it was that combination of stepping into purpose. And that's the part, maybe there needs to be a part two, Adrian, because then, when we talk about, one of the things I work with my clients and we talk about is when our purpose and our passion and our profits collide, that's when we get flourishing finances, right? So I don't even know if I answer your question.
No, well, actually, I wanted to know about you, where you made that turn. So you just did. Just one more. I don't want to hug don't want to hug the area. How did you get introduced? Was it through Les Brown you got introduced to Napoleon Hill? Because it's a really good book.
Yes. So my first in 2016, I became a certified John Maxwell coach in leadership. So I went to Orlando, I became certified, and it was through there that I really started the personal development for myself journey. And it was during that time that I started to be introduced to Napoleon Hill, to James Allen, who writes this book, As a Man Thinketh, just some of the leaders, right? And so I started getting that introduction to Bob Proctor, but it was in a coaching group with Les Brown, Power Voice, that I met a young lady, my bona fide. And she told me about the Napoleon Hill Institute last year. So it was the connections were right there. Yeah. But I've been in the personal development space now for a good number of years. And I'd be happy to introduce some stuff to you if you wish.
As I said, I don't want
I have no shame.
As I said, I don't want to hug, but that book, As a Man Thinketh, should be the first book that anybody should read before moving forward.
Adrian, can I say this without getting in trouble? I so love you. With all my coaching clients, that's where I start, As a Man Thinketh. Even though I'm talking about this book, it's not the easiest of read, but As a Man Thinketh, so is he in his heart. Our thoughts become things. This fan that I hope you couldn't hear as I was presenting because I didn't want to melt. This fan was somebody's thought. If you look around the room, everything that you're seeing was a thought before it became reality, before it became physical. And so your money has to become a thought. We have to be fixated on that. We have to make that decision. We have to know what we want before it becomes reality. As Bob Proctor, my former mentor, says, if you can hold it in your head, you will hold it in your hand. So that's the starting point for me, As a Man Thinketh.
Just real quickly, I think for me, it's basically just discipline, because all those books, Bob Proctor, Robert Kiyosaki, James Allen, Napoleon Hill, and we could name them all. I have been through. I know exactly, what to do, but I'm
Discipline.
trying to get that block that is there, and maybe that's the discipline. But
Yes.
this year, I am claiming this year, the rest of the year, to be my year, to even move forward. If it's even to start putting on $1 again, because it's something that I started doing before.
So write this down, Adrian. Discipline is self-love.
Discipline is
If-
self-love.
Discipline is self-love. You can't say you love yourself and you're not disciplined about what you need to do to get the results you want, eh?
Well, to be honest, I have a quote that says, you will never always be motivated, so you must learn to be disciplined. So
There
I'm
you
trying
go.
to live by that quote.
And consistency.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys, for hugging the platform.
They
Not
love
a
it, man.
problem, Adrian, not a problem. It seems as if we would need to let you come and do a presentation for us next time. What do you say about that, Adrian?
When I get wealthy.
Not at all, not at all. You can teach us the steps to get in there. As you go along, you can teach us as well. Awesome, awesome. Great engagement happening here. We love it. We love it. Discipline is self-love. Come on. Is that a question from Captain Shin? Oh, Captain says, it is said you will never get rich working for others, and to make it rich, find a need and supply that need. Definitely. And that is what Tanya just spoke about. And the two takeaways for me, she didn't mention the word, but the two takeaways I'm getting for myself is monetizing your skills and talent. That is what we're talking about, right? Right, Captain? Definitely. Wow, wow, wow. Also, burnt out. I was a part of a session last week, and the speaker made mention of this two same words, burnt out. Sometimes we go about our daily doings, just doing things that takes our energy away, takes our strength away, takes our finances away. And when we do really need that emergency fund, it's not there. So with this presentation, we are going to be disciplined. We are taking away something this evening. We are going to become consistent. We are going to now focus on assessing our environment. That one is a burnt out, Tanya. The environment, it burns you out. Lending here and lending here, not returning, it burns you out. I can tell you, I wanted to scream, I'm part of that, but I just said, let me stay quiet. But we do things, we get burnt out all the time. Someone says not having burnt out at all. Fareed, you're not having any burnt out? Awesome. I think that she made a decision not to get burnt out. So that is awesome, awesome, awesome. Wow, wow, wow. Any other question from our patrons this evening? Any other questions from our listeners? Any other question for Tanya this evening? Was she that clear? Wow.
Someone was asking Miss Coley about the 6 steps.
Oh, Keisha, I see that. Can you share with us the 6 steps again? I'm thinking that Tanya, would you be able to share it with us so we could at least email it to the persons who would have been on the platform?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Also, we have shared a link for you. We do want to get your feedback. It is very important to us that we know what you thought about the presentation, and for us to get an opportunity to know what else can we come and present to you to help you to build and to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Not just in good health, but in wealth as well. So there's a link that was shared for you to just do a quick survey for us as we continue in this evening's session. Also, we do have a prize to give away. A quick giveaway prize. All right, so should we make it 2, Tanya? Anya, what do you think? Look at that, Tanya and Anya. What do you think? So we're going to ask 2 questions, and the first person to answer in the chat, not raise hand now, in the chat. So we have our auditors looking to see who is coming in first. You will be the winner of a FHC gift basket. So the first question is, What was the name of the book that Tanya mentioned created the most million? What was the name of the book? Wow. No, man, we have some quick fingers here.
Hold on, and who was the author of the book? Let us add
And
that.
who was the author? That's it. I forgot that as well. So who was the author? My. I think we had Keisha answered first. Wow. So we're having, Carice.
Or was it Abigail with a name?
Auditors, tell me, let me know who is the winner.
Oh, Kenisha and Abigail. Ali.
Oh, well, you see, Kenisha, yes, Kenisha answered first because of how I asked the question. So, Kenisha, I'm going to give you a little prize as well. But who is the winner? Carice. Okay, so we're taking that. Awesome. Kenisha is clapping herself. Awesome, wonderful. So we have taken those notes. Please send us a private message with your contact details so we can reach out to you to collect them. All right, quick one. Next question. So let me get it straight now so I don't have to ask in part. Fill in the blanks. Others leave blank. We leave blank. Let's see who remembers that. Question again. Others leave blank. We leave blank. Oh, Kay Brown is on the ball. Others leave wills. We leave bills. Awesome. Give Kay a round of applause. Awesome. That is it. Others leave wills. We leave blank, coming from the video that was played. And so it is very important that we who are here on this Zoom tonight, right now, will begin to change our mindset on how we think about leaving either bills or wills for our children's children. That's the legacy that we want to leave behind. Awesome. Any other question? Make sure you are completing the survey for us. Now we do want to hear from you. Someone asked, is there a certificate for this? My. She's a coach, you know. Ask her. She's the one who's gonna certify us all here tonight. Awesome. So Tanya, thank you so much for your presentation. We call her, or I call her, Terrific Tanya, but she's just terrific. Certified leadership and results coach. And we know that on tonight, we would have gotten some results based on what you would have presented to us. The nuggets, the little elements, examining, assessing, making a clear decision. I know it's gonna all thinking when we lay in our bed and thinking about, how am I gonna get rich tomorrow? These are what I need to do. These are steps that I need to take. So we do thank you, Tanya. Awesome presentation, inspiring, impactful, and I know it will change our mindset this evening. Thank you, Anya, for praying for us. Awesome prayer. And thanks to the marketing team for setting up this webinar session. Great job. Thanks to all of you, 60, 71 persons who would have joined us tonight to make this webinar session successful. Ladies and gentlemen, have you completed your survey as yet? If not, Mr. Henry, please send it in the chat again so persons can log on to do so. Donna says, yes, great presentation. Thank you, Donna. Alyssa said, can I get a gift basket for completing the survey? Oh, Alyssa. Oh, my. We're getting there on the rich stage, you know. So maybe we'll think about it, Alyssa. Send us your contact. You never know, Alyssa. Alistair Nemhard, send us your contact privately. You just may never know. Awesome. Alistair said, who knows? That's it. You see now, Alistair has changed his mindset, you know, he's thinking outside the box. There you go. That is what we want. See, Tanya, minds have already been changed. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you for joining us this evening in what we have called Flourishing Finances, Fact or Fiction. And we know that Tanya would have debunked a lot of myths around this, or even some truths to it, to make it real, to let us know rather what is real and what is not. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. It was lovely having you. And with that said and done, we say good evening and good night. God bless. Anthony says, looking forward to the next Zoom link. Thank you. You are welcome, Anthony. Welcome, welcome. Ty says, this presentation was awesome. Thank you. Kay Brown says, awesome. Thank you, Kay Brown. Rosemary says, amazing, Tanya, as always. Thank you, Rosemary. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a good evening.